This Michael. Yeah, Turner, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, cool.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Good, good.
Good to hear. Coach, you ready to go? I mean, we just hop right into it if you're
I'm
ready.
ready, bro.
All right, sounds good. So, first question I always ask everybody is about their background. So, like, how did you get to where you are today?
Well, I played high school basketball at Brackenridge County High School. Came out of there in 1986. Played on some good teams down there, and then I went to Brescia University. Played NAIA ball there. Uh, got my degree into teaching. Went to Owensboro High School. For 15 years. I was 9 years assistant, 6 years head coach. Went to Iroquois High. I was there 8 years. Left there, taught at the alternative school, and then started coaching at a small private school, Beth Haven, for 3 years. Took off a year, assistant coach at Ballard, and then went back, finished up my teaching, retired from teaching, and now I'm back at Beth Haven, and I've been there 3 years, and this will be my fourth year. And during that time, I'm a basketball junkie. I started a lot of pro-ams and things like that down in Owensboro when I was there, and kind of led into sending players overseas at that time. So I've been doing that about 25 years. So a lot of basketball with me.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to start all those like pro-ams and even like just trying to like help guys go overseas?
Well, when I got done playing, at that time, there was some good tournaments. Like, it was a big tournament over in Evansville, the Tri-State tournament. It was a 64-team men's tournament that they ran for years, kind of alongside the NCAA March Madness. And then you had your Dust Bowls and Dirt Bowls and things. And so I said, well, let me come up with something where I'm bringing in teams from all over the United States. And at that time, we had a really big event. I had 40 teams from all over the U.S. come in, and a lot of overseas teams would just contact me, and I was still playing, so I played up until I was 43. So it was just a way to stay in shape and continue to play.
So whenever you're talking about your coaching, I mean, you went to many different places. I mean, what was the thought process behind that?
Uh, well, Owensboro, I was there, like I say, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So then my wife was from Louisville, and we came up here to Louisville, Iroquois. We were there 8. And then I just felt like maybe I was done. I was kind of burned out. I, worked hard there,
Mm-hmm.
those years, and then got back in it. And Beth Haven wanted me, and then, like I say, then after a few more years, I'm back there now. I'm retired teaching, so I do that, coach high school ball there, and do the overseas thing. So it's just the love of the game. Once you get out of it, you think, well, it's easy to say I'm going to resign from coaching, but then after you get out of it a little bit, you know it's part of you, and you know it's what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. So, while you're coaching and stuff, I mean, you talked about like trying to get guys overseas. Was it hard at first trying to get like different contacts, or like how did you like start to build your network, basically?
Well, yeah. At first, at that time, like I was having it at Brescia University. It was Brescia College then, and the head coach there, John Riley, would come over before we would start games and say, "Hey, man, we've been getting calls from Iceland and Finland and places like that all day, wanting to know if so and so's playing tonight and everything like that." And that was kind of before, I guess, some of these websites, these European basketball websites had, got big, and there wasn't a lot of film out there. And so then I started getting back in touch with these guys. And then after, 10, 15 years of it, I mean, you just become friends, with all these guys. And nowadays, I mean, I've got them all over the world. So it's just been a process, and then you build it. I go to the NBA Summer League every year, and I've had camps out there, and you get to meet coaches, and then this coach would tell a guy something, and it's kind of just like college. Like college coaches, with making their connections with high school coaches. Mm-hmm. So it's been easy, and I think it's been good for me because being a coach, I think they relate to me a little differently sometimes than they might a normal agent, which I'm not an agent. I'm actually a scout for an agent. And so there's a big difference. I'm the one that kind of goes out and recruits the players, and then David Gonzalez over in Spain is the licensed FIBA agent.
So this was a good lead into the next question. So whenever you're talking about being a scout, what do you look for in a lot of your players?
Well, I tell you, with the guys we deal with, a lot of times, obviously you look for, they've got to have a good college background playing. And then, I do some camps and things, and they'll come. You really look for dependable guys. High character guys that's put together a good body of work. And when I say a good body of work, you're just looking at stats, and shooting percentages are really big for overseas. 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, and transferring around a lot presents issues too, because a lot of the overseas teams really like guys that played at the same place for 4 years. But nowadays with the portal and things, a lot that's changing, and they're probably going to understand that more. But I just look for hardworking guys that love the game, and guys that can put it in the hole, to be honest with you. I like scores. And over there in Europe, especially with some of the smaller clubs, they may only get one import, so they really like a guy that's versatile, that can do it all, and guys that are professional. They follow up with their paperwork, and they get you everything you need to help them get a job. So that's the main thing we look for.
Mm-hmm. So going back to your playing days and just starting even, who are some athletes that you looked up to growing up?
Well, when I was growing up, obviously Larry Bird. When I was coming through school, Bird was, him and Magic, they were the ones that were getting things going. When I was in high school, I came out the same year Rex Chapman did at Apollo. So, it was, our region was loaded. We had top 5 in the state. It was Breck County, Owensboro, and Apollo, and we were all right there. And so Rex and his father were there in Owensboro. And he was a guy that you wouldn't say you looked up to him because he was your same age. But he was a guy that set the bar pretty high for players in our region. And as I look back on it, that really helped us, everybody, because, you've got a McDonald's All-American playing there and one of the best players in the region. That's who you're battling to get to the state tournament. So you better up your game. So I'd even throw Rex in there, even though he was our same age. He was cutting edge as a player. But yeah, Bird was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Landon, we'll go over to you.
Yeah, so Coach, looking at your resume of jobs that you've had numerous coaching positions at every level of basketball. So kind of talk about those experiences and how each one of those played a role in you becoming the scout today and the things that you learned through that.
Well, I think a lot of it's just love of the game. Like when I was at Owensboro High, I was under Randy Emery, and Randy, Coach Embry was, I got to say, he was probably my biggest mentor as a coach. He was, he played at University of Kentucky under Adolph Rupp. He was Mr. Basketball in Kentucky. He's now a scout for the Miami Heat. He's been with the Heat, ever since he retired. And I did my student teaching there. And this guy comes and says, hey, would you, we'd play Owensburg beating us in 86 in the regional finals. And he knew me from playing a little bit, but he asked me if I'd be interested in helping coach. And I said, yeah. And so, I came up under him and I did whatever he asked me. I coached all levels, freshman, JV, varsity, I was involved in every aspect of the program, and he was a guy that we talked basketball all the time, not just about our team, but just the whole spectrum of basketball. And so that was a big part of it, having him. And I had a great high school coach in Dean Hobbs. He won the state championship in '94. Great middle school coach in Homer Gray that played on the '65 state championship team with Butch Beard. So, I was around guys that knew the game. And that kind of built each step in what I did and gave me confidence, I think, at whatever I've done, whether it's coaching or being around guys and trying to get them overseas. And one thing I realized as I got older, if you love the game and you're in it for the right reasons, everything's going to work out. And you've got to work hard. So, it's all come step by step. With everything I've done, and I just love it. So that's kind of how I got into the scouting part, too, and being around those guys.
Yeah, so kind of staying with the scouting part, kind of give us like a look into a typical day for you, or kind of like what is the process like of being a scout?
Well, for me, I not only scout, now we've gotten most of our players. We've only got 2 guys left to sign from the recruiting class that we had last year, plus our returning guys. So a typical day for me right now is I get up, I'll work out, I'll go to the gym, and then I come back, get on the computer, and follow up on all the leads that I've gotten for those guys. And then plus I run a camp where guys come for exposure, and I still help those guys. We may not sign them to the agency, but we stay in touch, and we keep them on a list. So I'll do that for probably 2 or 3 hours a day, just following up on leads or trying to make new contacts and try to get these guys signed. And you'll be sitting here at all hours of the night, and you'll look up to your phone, and boom, you got a text, hey, is so-and-so still available? And so it's really never ending. It's fun. I don't golf. I don't play anymore. I wish I could, but it's just part of me now. I've done it so long. I enjoy it, and but that's a normal day. It's really hectic in April and May. That's when you're really working your hardest because you're trying to get everything out there on all your players. And then now everything's out there. You're just following up if people have interest or if they want to interview your player, and you have to set up, the phone calls between the team and the player and answer any questions they might have. So it's hectic. It's hectic until you get them all signed.
Yeah. So just, kind of looking at the success of the agency that you've worked for and, placing players into their basketball careers past college that you've scouted, what does it look like, seeing the success pay off?
It's great. Like sending guys from high school to college to play is a tremendous feeling. Because that's what it's all about. And then sending them from college to the professional ranks it is a tremendous feeling. It's just good to be able to help people reach their dreams. You know how hard it is nowadays to even play at the college level, and people don't understand how hard it is to play at the pro level because even the smallest job over there, there's so many applicants, it's unbelievable. You could take one of the smallest jobs in all of Europe that doesn't pay a lot, and you've probably got 600 guys trying to get that position, and that's no exaggeration. And so they have to narrow it down, and to be able to call a guy and say, hey, they offered, and they're going to pay for your flights, give you housing, give you meals. They're going to pay you a monthly salary to come play. It's a good feeling. It's really good. It gives you a sense of purpose, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, is there a big success story that ever points out to you as a scout representing someone, or just even looking at someone?
I've had so many success stories that, I tell this one every year, and it's, when I was first doing my Pro-Am, there was a team from Knoxville that was made up of Vanderbilt players and University of Tennessee players, and they kept telling me there was a guy coming from D3 that was going to play with this team, a kid named Jeff Gibbs from Otterbein, Division III. He came in, he's about 6'2", 250. He was a power forward, believe it or not. And they said he's the best player on the floor. Well, I watched him. He had 45 points and 20 rebounds. He dunked everything. He was amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen. He's been playing in this TBT tournament for the Ohio State team with Aaron Kraft in them the last few years. But this guy, I talked the team in Germany to take him, and they signed him at a low level. He wasn't making hardly anything. And this was before I joined on the agency that I'm with now, and I was just kind of doing a lot of it out of the kindness of my heart. Well, he goes over and gets like 50 the first night, 50 again, and next thing I know, they've moved him, and I'm not really his agent. I'm just the guy that got him his first job. Well, he goes to the top league Germany, BBL, leads the league in rebounding, MVP of the All-Star game. He got his own clothing line over there, and he's now in Japan. I think he's almost 40, but the money he's made has been amazing. And I've got all kinds of stories like that of guys that came out of these small schools that I got them their first position. But, at that time, I wasn't really into it for anything like a job. I was just helping guys. And really, they're guys that really help me recruit players now. I can call them and say, hey, I'm trying to get this kid. I mean, could you talk to him? And they'll be yes. And, I'd be glad to, because I know what you did for me. And so there's been a lot of those, and I always tell them at my camps. And, and I just think that's what it's all about. It's finding those diamonds in the rough. Most of the kids that are high-level D1, they're not going to come and ask us for help. We could help them. But it's mainly finding those D2, NAI, low-level D1 guys that have the potential. So it's that's fun, and there's been a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, does it ever get overwhelming at times? You're going back and forth between so many players at once, and also just teams and contacting them at once. So does it ever get overwhelming, or is it just something you enjoy doing?
Oh, I enjoy doing it. It's never work. The part we kind of narrowed down is like when you do recruit a guy, so your main primary focus is on the guys that are signed with the agency, and so we have 17 United States players and then several guys from Europe that we also represent. But most of those guys, my partner will handle most of that. And then those 17 guys from the U.S., that's where the primary focus is. So you can narrow it down there. But then the guys that attend our camps, we also help. So we throw them in there. So it's not that overwhelming because you got to narrow it down somewhere. And everybody wants help. I get 25 emails a day, and but the problem is a lot of guys want to play games. They want to work with 18 people, and it just don't work that way because the teams kind of lose respect when they've got like 8 guys sending them the same information on the same player. So that's how we kind of narrow it down, is just getting them to come on board with an agency contract, and we move from there.
Yeah, so this one's kind of like a 3-part question, but just kind of talk a little bit about your Pro-Am Summer League that you found and now direct, and how that opportunity came about and why it's been so successful.
Well, we started it from the ground up. We started it in Owensboro with 8 teams, and most of them were from right around Western Kentucky and Evansville. And those next few years, we grew it. And, I mean, I had a team from Los Angeles, Atlanta, ex-NBA guys coming down there. And a lot of it was just the hype we put around it. I mean, the work I put into it. And we've had some amazing teams down through the years. And then COVID, guys, I moved it to Las Vegas in, I think it was 2017 or 2017 or 18. I moved it out there during the NBA Summer League. So we called it the KPA Vegas, Kentuckiana Pro-Am in Las Vegas. And, man, we had some great games. And then COVID hit us, and we took a break, I think, for 2 years. And then this year, the last couple of years, I've kind of made my pro workout in April that event. It's not that event, but I have, based upon my schedule. So if I bring it back in full effect again, I think it'll be something for everybody to really want to see, because the way we did it was very special. I mean, we had the best players from Indianapolis, Atlanta, coming in, and Cincinnati to battle for 3 days, and they would bring some high caliber rookies that you could also scout too, and so it was special. I mean, the players that I've watched down through the years, I mean, I could name some guys that were just amazing. I mean, we've had them all.
All right, now I'll go back to you.
Coach, so whenever you're talking about the pro-ams and stuff, I mean, of course, you can scout with that like crazy. But when it comes to other types of scouting, like, are you on the road still at all, or do you mainly just like watch film?
Mainly, I watch film, but I do go down. Like, I went to that Mid-South tournament this year. I went to the Division II Elite 8. And every now and then I'll go watch one of the local. I always go watch Bellarmine. They may have somebody coming in that, from an opposing team you want to watch, but I've got that ESPN Plus, and you can get about any game you want that's not on TV. So a lot of it's there. But no, I do go to some of these conference tournaments, and I went to the Indianapolis Division II. They had their regionals up there, and saw some really good players in that from the Division II level. And no, that's mainly it. That's mainly for all the in-person scouting that we did this year.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about some Division I players, but like, is there like a set like boundary to where, I'm trying to word it good, to where, like, I mean, you have like quote unquote realistic players that you can scout compared to like guys that you're like, oh, there's no way that they'd want to like.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I just got done watching Kentucky over in the global games. There's nobody there we're going to get. It's just part of it. I mean, so I love watching those games, but I mean, there's nobody there. Now, you give me like an Atlantic Sun team or Conference USA, those type of mid-range conferences, and I'll watch a kid that's 6'8", 6'9", say he averages 8 or 9 points and 5 or 6 boards. That's a guy I'm looking at the Division I level, and then this year we were blessed. We signed 2 kids from Jacksonville State, Damari King, a 6-foot guard. He led them in scoring and set the all-time 3-point percentage and three-pointers made at Jacksonville State. Heck of a guard. Lefty, we just got him a nice contract in Europe. Skylar Potter that used to play at Warren Central, Moorhead State for a few years, I think. And then, at Jacksonville State, we got him a very nice deal in France. They were good players, though. But 17 a game for King and 15 for Potter, those are really good players for us. And but they came from that conference. So, but mainly we're looking at the bigs that are averaging around 8 to 10, 4 or 5 rebounds, and guards that shoot good percentages at the D1 level. D2, we're looking for All-American type players, all-conference players, or just a good all-around body of work at D2. NAIA, all-conference, NAIA All-American. But then every now and then, you find a guy that, you find a guy that you can place. I mean, for example, from Asbury, I got Trenton Thompson a few years ago. Trenton was a blessing. He came into the workout. He did a great job. Had all of his video ready. The coaching staff there did a great job of getting it to me. And then, Trenton got a good deal. He's a good guy. He went to a team in Finland that had a top league team, plus they had like a minor league team, and they both were connected, and he got to do both. So that, Trenton's a perfect example. Great career at Asbury, did everything he needed to do, and we had another kid, Leander Ridgway from Asbury. Leander came to the camp, and we got him in Mexico, I think, last year. He thought I forgot about him a little bit from the camp, and I just kept putting his stuff out, and he got a deal. But those are the guys we look for. The one thing, though, is they got to be able to play. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of times guys kind of get the feel that, anybody can go overseas. Well, that's totally wrong. I mean, you've got to be able to play basketball at a high level to get over there. And a lot of times, people will kind of take you the wrong way if you don't give them, a lot of your energy. But you finally just have to say, your numbers are not what we need to get this done. I'm not saying you can't play, but I'm just saying your body of work is not worth us spending our time on.
Right. So the agent you mentioned before, is he the one that will talk to the overseas teams, or do you talk to overseas teams too?
I talk to the teams. He talks to the teams. We both do our own deals as far as working with the teams. For the U.S. guys, I get several of the jobs. But then the deal is, once I close a deal, I turn everything over to David with the contract. He's FIBA certified, meaning, legally, he's the one that can read it and, negotiate and do those type of deals. So we have a great partnership. We work good together. He's, I can trust him. He's loyal. I am to him. And but no, we both actively recruit jobs. So we're both working to get jobs. But on my end, once I get one, all the paperwork is officially turned over to him. And we've got a lot of three-way groups. Like, we use WhatsApp a lot, that app. And, so it's me, David, and a pro coach, or me, David, and a GM. And that's how we close most of the deals on right there together.
And yeah, that actually leads to my next question. So with that, does Gonzalez, does he translate, or do you all use Google Translate, or what do you all do with that?
Teams already have it translated. Yeah, they'll send you the Spanish version. They'll send you the English version. So really, it's already translated. And, really, I tell you, most everybody we deal with speaks English. So we don't have a lot of issues there. So any paperwork we deal with, everything is translated already.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, switching gears a little bit, who are some of your favorite players to watch in any league today?
In any league, you mean today?
Yes, sir.
In the games I've watched today on TV?
I mean, just today period, NBA, even overseas.
Okay, yeah. No, I thought you was talking about just today.
Oh, no.
No, I'm sitting there watching games now.
Yeah.
But I'm a guy that just loves scores. I've always been that way, and so I don't know. I mean, some of the NBA guys, they've kind of passed me by with some of that. I never was a big LeBron fan at all, but now, as he gets older, I'm starting to like him even more just because, I guess because I'm older, I can relate to him more. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say, really, for me who my favorite guys in the game are right now. I like a lot of them, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned LeBron, so I'm gonna have to give you the ultimate question. What's your opinion on the Jordan-LeBron debate?
I'll take Jordan. I came up with Michael Jordan, and I don't know. And it's probably a lot of age to do with it too. I've always considered him probably the best to ever play, and he's just competitive fire, and obviously he could do everything. LeBron could do everything too, but it's just like there's something that's separating inside to me with just his passion and heart, the way he would compete. And that's the only reason I would say Jordan. I mean, my Lord, both of them are amazing players. So, but I would probably take him.
Landon, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, so kind of was scouting always the dream job for you, or was it coaching, or even maybe something outside of sports?
No, it was anything with basketball. It was, coaching and scouting. As a player, I think I reached my potential. I never was a great athlete, but I always tried to work to overachieve, and I've always had a passion to do more in the game. So, the next step was coaching when you couldn't play, and then, wanting to be involved at a higher level kind of led you into scouting. Couldn't really go coach anywhere. Had a couple of college offers to be an assistant, and probably could have went overseas. I know a couple different times. I had one, but teacher retirement. I'd already had so many years in, and so I just kind of stayed with that, and that's what I'm still doing. So no, I'm happy with what I've done with basketball, and I'm just going to keep working to do what I do, and understand it's not about me. It's about basketball and just trying to help guys. I mean, that's as truth as I can tell it. I mean, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, you call yourself an overachiever. So, I mean, is this ever something you imagine yourself being in the position you are today? And do you imagine yourself getting in a higher position than you are right now?
Well, the thing with me is I'm so, I think there's a lot of times if I had moved to different areas and pursued different things, yeah, probably I could have done some different things in the game. But, I've got a son. He'll be a freshman next year. My wife and I, we've been married 28 years, and you finally get to a point where you're settled. And I've been settled for several years now, so I don't really, it would have to be a special thing for me to ever move up in the game again. But, you never say no. And I mean, the good Lord, I think he's had a path for me the whole time. I think, anytime I've tried to get out of this or take a break, I always see that my purpose was to be doing these things. So that makes it a little bit easier. So I'm happy with what I'm doing and going to continue to do it.
Yeah, so kind of talk about, who's someone in your life that's motivated you to be where you are today?
Well, I would say, several people, like I've mentioned, down through the years, my dad and mom, they were great. Great parents. They always, they knew how much I loved basketball, and they always kept me involved in whatever I wanted to be involved in basketball-wise and, school-wise. And then Homer Gray, my elementary coach, Dean Hobbs, my high school coach, and Randy Emery that I coached for. I would say those are the main guys in basketball. And then, good friend of mine, Rod Drake's the head coach at Owensboro High School. He was my assistant when I was there. He's motivated me. Him and I've had a great relationship. He coached the Kentucky All-Stars this year, and I was his assistant, so that was a blessing. He asked me to help him, and I really enjoyed that. And but I would say Rod has motivated me, and really anybody. Anybody with basketball has motivated me. I respect everybody in the game, coaches, players. It's just a great game. So a lot of people.
Yeah, and I guess kind of my last question would just be for anyone that's looking to become maybe a scout for an agency, a coach, or just really anything with basketball, what are some tips that you would give them maybe that you wish that you had known before becoming one yourself?
Well, you've got to research it. You've really got to love it. I studied it a lot. The markets for basketball. After I really decided I wanted to do it, you have to know what's going on in each country. Like Ireland's a lot different than Spain, and it's just you've got to know the money involved in each country and stuff like that. So I would study it. I would try to find somebody that is willing to pour into you and give you some knowledge. And then you've got to figure out what route you want to go. It's very hard to become an NBA scout. And then to be a scout for an agency, you've got to find a FIBA agent that trusts in you to work for him. So that would be my biggest advice. Get out to Las Vegas. Go to a lot of the overseas camps that go on during the day. Go to the summer league, meet people. I'll never forget my first summer league. I went out and I coached in about 5 overseas camps. I was out there 10 days, 2-day camps. And these are all college players, and they come in to go overseas. And I started doing that for 3 or 4 summers. Took a good friend of mine, John Tinsley, who also coached here in Kentucky for years, and him and I would go out there and coach teams, and but we just made so many contacts, and so I would just suggest you find people with knowledge and set them down and ask them some questions, and then go to different events and network. That's the best way to get your feet wet, I think. I'll let you go.
All right. So, Coach, you already talked about it a little bit with the big guys, but one question that I ask a lot of coaches is, with the game evolving to where shooting is just like such a popular thing, and it's much needed, but the popularity of shooting has gone up. Do you see the traditional big man kind of dissolving, or do you still see like a big use for it in years, like in the future?
Well, it revolves. It seems like things always turn. But no, I'm like you and everybody else. It seems like the five-out offense was bringing the big out and, running a lot of stuff off of your five-man, and no longer the post-ups is the thing right now. And I've got to say, even at the high school level, we're doing it a lot. We've got a couple of post-up sets, but most everything is spread the court, dribble handoffs, zoom action, things like that. And I enjoy it. I enjoy coaching it. And unless you've got a true post, or, anytime you can get mismatches in there, that's great. But unless you've got a true post, I don't really see anything wrong with that. Now, when you've got a big old guy that can score and you've got to get him on the block, obviously you've got to make adjustments. But no, the game has really changed. I sit here and watch all these summer league games, and about everybody's running the same stuff. And a lot of skilled guys, man, no matter the size.
Mm-hmm. So, with you seeing many different levels of basketball, do you want to see any rule changes or just any changes in general to any level?
I would like the shot clock at high school level. Myself, we're a small school, but we get the ball up and down the floor. And a lot of people say, well, that would hurt you against the good teams that, want more possessions. But the way we play now, it's not going to hurt us. So for me, I just think we should get a shot clock at the high school level. Because, you're going to do it at the next level. And I know they say, well, not everybody's going to play college ball. But, no, I think it's about development of player. I think it's about, developing the game. And I really think we should look at that hard from Kentucky. And I know it was voted down this time, but hopefully that's something that'll come around in the future.
Mm-hmm. So, with you scouting a lot of higher level players that end up going to play professional, what would be your guidance for a player that's a 5-star that's coming out of high school and has the options to either go to college or go to the G League Ignite, for example? What would you have them do?
Well, that's a tough question. Nowadays, with the way things are going, I think it would depend on the situation of the individual for sure. But, a lot of times these guys are only going to college for a year or two anyway. So if they've got guaranteed money with the G League, and if that situation's there, and they know probably they're only going to be there a year or two, I don't see anything wrong with just going ahead and doing that. And I think we saw that in the draft this year with some guys. But no, if they're only planning on going for a year of college, and I know that experience is key, but from a business angle, if you're only going to go a year and you know that, I wouldn't see a thing wrong with going ahead and going to the G League at all.
Mm-hmm. So, with you also coaching in Kentucky, with some areas and districts and stuff, they're starting to have the enrolling as a non-resident be more of a common thing. What do you think about all that?
Well, I know with everything right now, it's really changing. Guys getting eligible that back 20 years ago, it wouldn't even have a chance of being eligible. So I see it both ways. I see where the athletic association's trying to help kids and make it better for them in certain situations. If certain things don't work, they can go other places and maybe get it to where they want it. And I see that. The only thing we've got to watch is just players, the first adversity they hit, they transfer. And so there's got to be some boundaries with the addresses and things like that, or I think it could become a circus quick, because, hard coaching right now is hard to do because there's so many avenues for players to leave and that type of thing. Now, I'm old enough, nothing's going to change me. So, I do what I do, and, I think my kids respect it, the ones that are here, and I'm sure most coaches are like that. But you've got a generation coming up that, the first thing that they don't like, they transfer. So if it's wide open, I think it just hurts the kid and his overall development for the most part. So I don't know. I think the transfer rules are, interesting now. So we're going to have to just keep an eye on that. But it seems like every year more kids get eligible than ever before. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that at some point we've got to look at just the development of the kid, because it's kind of like the transfer portal. If something doesn't go right, I'm just going to transfer, and I think that's a lot of the mentality that we have out in the basketball world now.
Mm-hmm. So my last little thing that I ask the guest is there anything that you want to say before you close out?
No, I appreciate you guys for having me on. When you message me, I've known your dad, respect everything he does, at Asbury, and so when you asked me, I was honored. I love to talk basketball, and I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you all.
All right, we'll let you go. Have a good evening,
Thanks.
Coach.
Thanks a lot.
See y'all.
Uh-huh.